Meanwhile, a Washington Post poll of D.C. residents found that 91% described the problem of crime in their city as extremely or moderately serious. The paper also reports this, and I quote, "There are stark divides along lines of race and income in the poll, with black residents and lower income residents significantly more worried about crime than white residents and those with higher incomes." As they were last year, black women are among the most concerned, with 65% saying crime is a very or extremely serious issue, compared with 82% who said the same last year. And Simone, in your latest op-ed, which you wrote for MSNBC, carries this headline: Trump's brazen D.C. power grab feels personal, because it is. Tell us more.
Well, look, I think that Donald Trump is deploying a very familiar playbook that has been used in the past, and he's just updating it, for cable news and social media. He's painting a distorted picture of urban chaos, questioning the competency of local black leadership, and then he's pushing for federal intervention that strips away local control. I believe that Donald Trump is using the issue of juvenile crime in the District of Columbia. And I will just note, for the last 10 years that Mayor Bowser has been mayor, crime is constantly cited as the #1 issue when residents are polled. And so I have definitely not suggested that no one cares about crime. It's personal for me. I'm literally talking to you from my home in Washington, D.C. But the issue is that Trump is using this as a pretext, specifically the instances of juvenile crime, as a pretext for his authoritarian overreach. And because of the law in Washington, D.C., the fact that there is federal control over the District of Columbia in some regard, it makes it easier for him to do. But to be very clear, I think that the president has been very consistent. And when he says that next is Chicago, New York, L.A., Oakland, again, all cities with black mayors in states that have Democratic governors, I would note, I think people should take him seriously. And if he succeeds, he will have essentially overturned local elections and taken powers that have been given the leaders that frankly oppose him. And he's gonna not stop in the blue cities, if you will, or with the black mayors. It's a pretext for what he has long time said he wanted, which is the ability to send the military into the streets of America for what he deems to be an emergency or unrest.
So, Reverend Sharpton, we've heard, obviously, Simone's concerns, and many others are concerned. I would certainly be concerned if this were replicated in other cities. Washington, D.C., obviously a unique situation. But let's talk about solutions. Where is there compromise between what concerns Simone and so many other people in D.C. and across the country, and what we're hearing from residents of Washington, D.C., especially black residents there, according to the poll, and working class residents of Washington, D.C. What is the solution here? Because obviously, when 9 out of 10 people say crime is a problem in Washington, D.C., you would hope that Democrats and Republicans could get together and move beyond partisan lines and figure out how to make Washington even safer. And that is not to say that Mayor Bowser's not doing all she can do with a city council who, I will just say, has been very problematic for years now.
No, I think that the solution needs to be worked out sitting down and saying these are the issues. How do we stop the crime? How do we deal with it? Because as Simone said, and I said earlier, blacks are concerned about crime. I think it's been exaggerated in some cases, but that does not mean we're soft on crime. It's how you deal with it and who is dealing with it and why it is so selective. But I think that there must be a mid-ground, because most crimes done by blacks are to other blacks. So it's not like we're unconcerned, but it doesn't mean that you take a different policy for us that you do others, and that then we have the concerns where we are afraid of the cops and the robbers.
Simone Sanders Townsend, our thanks for joining us this morning. The new story on MSNBC's website. And of course, we'll be watching the weeknight at 7 p.m. right here on MSNBC.